This video is really quick to just cover again the way I cut my drip edge a little bit differently. There's been a couple of questions on a video, and I want to apologize. When I made that video, I had no plans on YouTube stuff. None whatsoever. I was just making that for me. Never thought anybody would watch it. I'll do a few things in this video. I'm going to cover why I started doing the drip edge a little bit differently, how I do it differently, and do you need to do it? The answer to that question may be no, you may not need to do it. If you don't want to do it, and you have a way you do it, fine. You can do it your way, you don't have to. I'm kind of a perfectionist. I like things to look really, really nice, and it's important to me. That's where this was developed from. I figured that most people that would watch it would be roofers like me, if anybody did watch it, and they would kind of understand what I was doing. I didn't think a lot of like DIY, do-it-yourself type people would watch it. And that's what's happening, and so people aren't able to understand what I'm doing. So I'm gonna do it really fast because there's been comments on some other videos that took 10 minutes to do, and it's like, well, it doesn't take that long, but I'm trying to do it slow to show. So I'll do a really quick cut on one to show it only takes a couple of seconds, but I'll also do it very slow with really good visuals of how I get here. And the other thing I'm just gonna say right now, this is not a brag thing, but I've roofed in everywhere from Alaska to Florida in 29 years of roofing before my back really just kind of gave out of me, and I moved on to some other career things where I don't have to beat the heck out of my body so much. But because of that, I've noticed that no matter where you're in the country, people do things a little bit differently everywhere you go. And so what's gonna happen is somebody's gonna see this and they're gonna go, that's not drip edge. David, that's not drip edge. Okay, I'm in Utah. In Utah and in Arizona, this stuff right here constitutes drip edge. Is it a style D drip edge like some people are used to? No. But if you drive around the state of Utah and Arizona, every house you see, with the exception of maybe 1 out of 10,000, is going to have this on the rakes and on the eaves. Some people are going to call this a gutter apron or other things, but this is what constitutes drip edge here. If you call a lot of supply houses around here and say, I need a style D drip edge, they might have 3 or 4 pieces because nobody buys it. Because you may do it differently where you are, and you may not know to call style D drip edge with the nose on it, style D, doesn't mean that this is not a drip edge. Hope we get that out of the way. Okay, so here we go. I'll do it nice and easy. I'll make sure I explain it well and the why. So the look I want to accomplish in the end is a very clean look with the gutters. If you're not doing gutters on a house, on an eave, this doesn't matter. But what was going on is this. When we would install drip edge, we would, as roofers, we were always taught to take the time. If this is the, now, it used to be forever, I would take my drip edge like most roofers would do. When you get to the eave here, we would bring it over and then we would wrap it around and we'd cut it nice and pretty, and it would wrap up here. And then the rake drip edge would come over it, and it looks so nice, and this would be bent around. And then the first thing that would happen is the gutter guy would come out and cut it off because it's in their way. So we just dollar for nothing. And then you have this corner, if it matters to you, of a little bit of wood exposed. Is sometimes those cuts would be really ugly. What was common was that people would just not even cut the drip edge. They take this 90-degree, cut it and then bend it around, which looks really ugly. Or what was worse, here in Utah, I would see this stuff a lot. They take this stuff. You'll see this in Utah and in like Arizona a lot, where they'll take this stuff, and I hate this. At least when they do a partially good job, they'll cut the skirt, but they'll just take this and go to the corner and go like this. And then you end up with something like this. And then the gutter guy and the fascia guy got to cut this, and then it's so tight. Come in close right here. And then it's so tight on there, because a lot of these lazy roofers wouldn't even cut the skirting, okay? And so this looks like garbage. And then and this is in their defense, the gutter guy, they would snip this and it would be so hacked because you can't really get snips in here and get a clean cut. It would look like trash. So how do we be nice to the next trade, do a great job? That was what I felt was a problem that I was trying to solve. Again, some people are going to care. I cared. That's why I made that video. So here we go. First thing I'll always do is this eave. I'll just bend this stuff out just a little bit. That way, when the guys doing the gutter and the fascia come along, they don't have to and bend this up crazy. This stuff is kind of bent at a 90 from the factory, a little bit over a 90. But if you put it on the pitched edge of a roof and like this, then you get this, the fascia sits like this sits like this, and it doesn't sit flat. And of course, if you want it to sit flush, you either got to pull it really tight, which then makes the life for the gutter guy and the soffit and fascia guy miserable, or they've got to just crank on it and bend it all to heck. Then it looks horrible. And of course, it's going to be covered by the gutters, but why tear up somebody's home like that? Or it sticks out so far, then when the gutter guy puts his screws in here, it crunches it. It's just ugly. So what I always would do is I just turn it like this, and I like to bend out the whole 10-foot length to give it something close to whatever the pitch of the roof I'm putting it on is. Okay? So I wish I had like a new roof to do this on, but I'm going to do this over what we got here. So I would like to have, ideally, a nice square edge to work with, a factory edge. So what I'll do is I'll make a nice, for this corner, this is going to be my eave, and I've put a square line on the inside, okay? What I'm going to do is I'm going to cut, I just kind of round into that, okay? Then I'm going to cut straight down the face of this. But, and I'm just doing it slow so you can see. I cut straight down the face. And the reason I round it off, you don't have to, but then it'll sit nice and flush right here, and then I don't have to worry about anything, etc. Okay? And once that's on here, you're gonna bring the next piece over. And again, I wouldn't do this normally over shingles. I'm just trying to show you how I make this happen. Bring that camera over here. I want you to be able to aim and see inside here. I'll lay this one on here, and I'm going to trace this. I'm just going to mark that out, okay? So now I'm going to bring this piece in, put this piece in here, and if it was style D, I'd do the same thing. I just bring this past, okay? And I take you could take an awl, or you could just take your pencil and mark down. This cut, I'm not actually going to cut straight on this line. This is the top side. I actually like to just kind of curve into that. Okay, go right to that corner. Then you just bend this out of your way and kind of just cut this right on in. It's right there to your line. Pull that out of your way. Now, remember what I said, we don't need this angle here. We don't need this angle here for the kick out. So I would always just take a little piece right here. I'd match on the line so it could be straight. And I just carry my cut over, okay? So now we're like this. I'm going to cut this up. I'm just going to go to the bend. I'll cut that out. Now I don't need this much of a tab. You know, maybe a ½ inch finger's width or something is all you need. So you can trim that out of there if you want. Okay, trim that out. So you just got this. Get the little tab, get your line. Complete my whole line across here. I'm going to cut up
I'm going to stop at that bend in the skirt, okay? Then I'm going to take the top side of this and I'm going to cut right over to the corner of my line there. I'll fold that back. I'm going to cut in. Then I'm going to come in and cut right in on this to here. Now I have that little tab there. I'm going to fold that in.
Now you can just fold it. It'll fold just fine. Or if you don't feel confident, you can take your little piece that you cut off the top and just use it as kind of a straight edge to get a nice crease and bend, okay? So you have this. This is your rake metal.
Okay, bring it out. Again, you don't have to. I'm a little funny. I just like to round the corners. I don't like it to have sharp corners.
Now, the reason I've done it, so this is the rake piece. This will look like this. The reason for that, so you would actually put your rake metal on first, followed by your face metal. So come over here and look how these fit together. Of course, this would go under. Okay, so it looks like this on the corner now. You know, I have this smooth thing here. But what we're looking for is I want this to be able to separate this way. And we're still wrapping around, if that matters to you. Some people it may not matter to you, okay? But it wraps around. The reason for this now, instead of going the other way, the gutter guy doesn't have to cut this. The fascia guy doesn't have to cut this. And then this is what this looks like in the end. Now we come back to the roof. So if I was roofing this, I would put this on first. Then I would put my eave metal on. I'm going to tuck. This is going to go under. This is going to go behind. Okay? Then we get this corner here like this. The reason for that is, now when that gutter goes in, come around here and look. Just come right around. See how, this is what I want. This is what I want. I want this nice, clean, they didn't have to cut. I'm still wrapped. That's what I want. That's all I'm looking for. So that's why I do this just a little differently. And it really doesn't take any longer. And to prove it, here's a little quick video on how I do it. But that's why, that's how, that's all I'm doing. And it really only matters if you're doing gutters. If you're not doing gutters, there's no need. You can do it the old school way. This is just simply to deal with gutters so you don't get that ugly where they have to chop it up. Why make more work for them that's not going to look good, and you can do it nicely and it only takes a second. That's my thoughts. If you don't like it, no big deal. I'll just show you. This takes, if I was doing this roof, this would take me a second. I'm going to take my factory edge. It's here. Goes in your finger. Put it on, nail it. Well, nail it. I don't know. Yeah, I know I said 2 or 3 seconds, but what it's, I don't know what, maybe this is a 20, 30 second video, and it's done. So it doesn't take very long. Doesn't take any longer than the other way. And if it's a style D, it's the same process. You just have the D nose to deal with.